Recreational vehicles, RVs, have been an iconic part of the American road trip experience for decades, offering freedom and flexibility for travel enthusiasts. However, not every RV was a success. Some models failed in terms of design, reliability, or practicality, leaving a legacy of disappointment among owners. In this chapter, we'll explore 9 of the worst American RVs in history, each with its unique set of issues that made them infamous.
Dear viewer, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for your support.
Number 9, the Winnebago Chieftain of the 1970s, while considered a step up from some of the more basic models in the lineup, had its own set of significant issues that made it a less than ideal motorhome for many owners. Here's a detailed look at why it was considered problematic. The Winnebago Chieftain was a large, heavy motorhome that suffered from terrible fuel efficiency. With many models equipped with big V8 engines, fuel consumption was abysmal, especially during the 1970s fuel crisis. The high cost of fueling the Chieftain made it impractical for long trips, and many owners were deterred by the ongoing expense. Due to its poor fuel economy, the Chieftain had a limited range between refueling stops. This was inconvenient for road trips, especially when traveling in more remote areas where gas stations were few and far between. Frequent stops to refuel interrupted the journey and added to the overall cost of travel. Like many RVs of its era, the Chieftain was plagued by frequent engine overheating issues, especially when driven for long distances or in hot weather. The combination of a heavy chassis and a large engine that struggled to cool properly led to breakdowns and expensive repairs. The cooling system in the Chieftain was often underpowered for the size of the engine, resulting in frequent failures. Owners reported issues with radiators, water pumps, and coolant leaks, all of which contributed to the overheating problems. Addressing the overheating problems often required significant repairs, including replacing parts of the cooling system, which added to the cost of ownership. These issues also contributed to a lack of confidence in the vehicle's ability to handle long trips, especially in warm climates or mountainous regions. The exterior design of the Winnebago Chieftain was boxy and uninspired, even by the standards of the 1970s. While it maximized interior space, the RV lacked the modern, streamlined look that later models would adopt. This made the Chieftain feel old-fashioned, even during its production years. Inside, the Chieftain featured a dated interior with minimal styling and limited creature comforts. The materials used were often of lower quality, leading to rapid wear and tear. The wood paneling, dull upholstery, and lack of modern conveniences made the Chieftain feel more like a vehicle from an earlier era, rather than a cutting-edge motorhome. By the late 1970s, RV buyers were looking for more advanced features like larger refrigerators, microwaves, and entertainment systems, none of which were available in the Chieftain. Its outdated design and lack of amenities made it feel out of step with newer motorhomes hitting the market. Despite its large exterior size, the Winnebago Chieftain had a surprisingly cramped interior layout. The design didn't maximize space efficiently, and many owners found the living quarters tight and uncomfortable, especially for families or longer trips. The floor plan often felt disorganized, with narrow hallways, small kitchen areas, and cramped sleeping quarters. This made day-to-day living inside the RV less enjoyable and contributed to feelings of claustrophobia for some owners. Storage space inside the Chieftain was limited and not well thought out. Cabinets and compartments were small, making it difficult to store essential items for extended trips. Many owners found themselves running out of space quickly, especially when traveling with multiple passengers. The Chieftain's boxy shape and high center of gravity made it prone to sway and body roll, especially when driving in windy conditions or on curvy roads. This made the RV feel unstable and difficult to control, particularly for less experienced drivers. The steering was often unresponsive, with a loose feel that made it hard to keep the vehicle on course. Maneuvering the Chieftain in tight spaces or on narrow roads was a challenge, and many owners reported difficulty parking or making sharp turns. Given the Chieftain's size and weight, the braking system was underpowered and often felt inadequate. Stopping distances were long, and the brakes required frequent servicing. This added to the overall lack of confidence when driving the RV, particularly in emergency situations or when descending steep grades. The Winnebago Chieftain of the 1970s was a large, outdated motorhome that struggled to compete in an evolving market. Its poor fuel economy, frequent overheating problems, and cramped interior made it a less than ideal choice for RV buyers. Additionally, its poor handling, frequent breakdowns, and rust issues only added to its list of flaws. While it may have had some appeal due to its size and affordability, the Chieftain's numerous shortcomings, including its dated design and high maintenance costs, ultimately contributed to its negative reputation. Number 8, the 1967 Clark Cortez, while innovative in some aspects, had several significant drawbacks that made it a problematic motorhome for many owners. The Clark Cortez was equipped with a small, underpowered engine that struggled to handle the weight of the motorhome. This lack of power made it slow and difficult to drive, especially on highways or when climbing hills. The engine simply wasn't sufficient for a vehicle of its size. When fully loaded with passengers and gear, the Cortez's engine was often pushed to its limits, leading to sluggish acceleration and difficulty maintaining speed. This made long trips tiring for drivers and frustrating for passengers, as the motorhome couldn't keep up with traffic. The Cortez was one of the few front-wheel drive motorhomes at the time, which was both a selling point and a significant issue. The front-wheel drive layout led to handling problems, particularly under heavy loads, causing the vehicle to feel unbalanced and difficult to control. The Cortez had a heavy, unresponsive steering system, making it difficult to maneuver in tight spaces or on narrow roads. Many owners complained about the effort required to steer the vehicle, especially at low speeds or when parking. The Cortez had a tall, narrow body that made it prone to body roll, particularly in high winds or when taking sharp turns. This gave the motorhome a somewhat unstable feel, which could be unsettling for drivers and passengers alike. The Cortez was notorious for rust issues, particularly around the wheel wells, undercarriage, and seams. Poor sealing and a lack of corrosion-resistant materials led to rust forming quickly, especially in humid or coastal environments. Rust compromised the structural integrity of the motorhome and was expensive to repair. Owners often had to deal with rust repairs, which involved costly bodywork or replacing large sections of the motorhome. This made the Cortez expensive to maintain, and many units deteriorated quickly if not properly cared for. The front-wheel drive design, while innovative, was prone to mechanical issues. The drivetrain and transmission were under heavy strain, leading to frequent breakdowns and costly repairs. Owners often found themselves dealing with transmission failures or problems with the front axles. The unique design of the Cortez made repairs more challenging, as many mechanics were unfamiliar with its layout. Parts were not always readily available, and finding someone who could work on the motorhome properly could be difficult. This led to longer repair times and higher costs. Despite its relatively compact size compared to other motorhomes, the Cortez had a cramped interior that didn't make the best use of available space. The layout was not particularly ergonomic, and many owners found the living quarters too small for extended trips or family use. By the standards of the late 1960s, the Cortez lacked many of the amenities that newer motorhomes were starting to offer, such as larger refrigerators, built-in entertainment systems, or more efficient heating and cooling systems. This made it feel outdated even during its production run. The 1967 Clark Cortez had potential with its innovative front-wheel drive design, but its underpowered engine, poor handling, and mechanical issues significantly hampered its performance. The rust-prone body and cramped interior also added to its problems, making it a challenging motorhome to own and maintain. While it had its fans, the Cortez ultimately fell short of expectations and struggled to compete with other motorhomes of its time. Number 7. The 1960 Dodge Travco was among the early motorhomes that helped pioneer the RV lifestyle, but it had significant shortcomings that made it a tough choice for many users. The 1960 Travco was equipped with the Dodge chassis, which featured engines that were inadequate for a motorhome of its size. These engines lacked the necessary power to drive long distances comfortably, especially when the vehicle was loaded with passengers and supplies. Climbing hills or maintaining highway speeds became a challenge, making travel frustrating for many owners. The Travco's powertrain was often overwhelmed by the weight of the vehicle, With its large body, the engine struggled to provide smooth acceleration, especially when the RV was full of passengers or towing additional gear. This led to slow, labored driving that could be nerve-wracking for users on long trips. Like many early RVs, the Travco was notoriously inefficient in terms of fuel consumption. Its large, heavy design paired with an underpowered engine meant it burned through fuel quickly, making long trips expensive and inconvenient. Owners often had to stop frequently to refuel, adding to the hassle of extended road travel. With rising fuel costs during the era, the Travco's poor efficiency was a major drawback. Owners often found themselves spending far more on fuel than expected, which was a significant downside for a vehicle meant for long-term travel and exploration. The Travco had a boxy, rigid design that didn't lend itself to a smooth ride. The suspension was basic and not well suited to handling rough or uneven roads, leading to a bumpy, uncomfortable experience. Passengers often complained of being jostled around during long trips, and the driver had to constantly manage the rough handling. The suspension system wasn't designed with comfort in mind, making the Travco difficult to drive over long distances. The boxy shape also made it more susceptible to crosswinds, requiring constant corrections from the driver and causing fatigue. The early Travco models lacked many of the features and conveniences that later motorhomes offered. It had a fairly Spartan interior with minimal amenities, making it feel more like a basic transport vehicle than a comfortable home on wheels. This made it less appealing for families or people looking for a more luxurious RV experience. While functional, the Travco's interior layout was not optimized for comfort. It was cramped, and the boxy design didn't maximize the available space. The seating and sleeping areas were rudimentary, and the kitchen facilities were minimal, offering little in the way of home comforts. Many early Travco models were plagued by mechanical issues. The underpowered engine and transmission were prone to failure under stress, and the overall build quality left much to be desired. Breakdowns were common, leading to frequent repairs and frustrating ownership experiences. Because the Travco was built on a Dodge chassis, finding parts for repairs wasn't always straightforward, especially for the more unique RV components. Owners often had to deal with long wait times or expensive custom repairs to keep their motorhomes operational. The 1960 Dodge Travco was a trailblazer in the RV market, but its early models were flawed in several key areas. The underpowered engine and poor fuel efficiency made it a challenge for long-distance travel, while the rough suspension and boxy design led to an uncomfortable ride. Its lack of modern amenities and early mechanical issues further added to its reputation as a motorhome that, despite its innovation, was far from ideal for extended use. Number 6. The 1965 Ford Transit motorhome conversion was one of the early attempts to convert the popular Ford Transit van into a camper or motorhome. While it had the potential to be a practical and affordable option for road trips and camping, it suffered from several significant flaws that made it less appealing to buyers. The 1965 Ford Transit was equipped with small, underpowered engines, typically 1.7 liters or 2.0 liters. When converted into a motorhome, with added weight from the interior furnishings and gear, these engines struggled to provide sufficient power. This made acceleration sluggish, especially on inclines or when fully loaded with passengers and supplies. The underpowered engine made long trips more challenging, particularly on highways where maintaining speed was difficult. Overtaking other vehicles became risky, and driving in hilly areas put additional strain on the engine, leading to overheating or mechanical issues. The Transit motorhome conversion had a boxy, tall design, which created significant wind resistance. This made driving in windy conditions a challenge, as the vehicle was easily pushed around by crosswinds. The driver had to constantly adjust steering to compensate, leading to driver fatigue and an unpleasant driving experience. Due to its boxy design and higher center of gravity, the converted Transit was prone to swaying and stability problems, especially at higher speeds or when making turns. This made the vehicle difficult to handle and required careful driving to avoid accidents. One of the major complaints about the 1965 Transit motorhome conversion was the lack of proper ventilation. The camper interiors often lacked sufficient windows or roof vents, causing the interior to become stuffy and uncomfortable, especially in warmer climates or during long trips. This made it less suitable for camping in hot weather or for extended stays. The poor ventilation also led to condensation buildup inside the motorhome, particularly in cold or damp conditions. This moisture could cause problems such as dampness, mold growth, and unpleasant odors, reducing the overall comfort and livability of the camper. The transit conversions were known for having inadequate insulation. In colder weather, the lack of proper insulation meant that the interior would quickly become cold and uncomfortable, making it difficult to use the motorhome in winter. In hot weather, the lack of ventilation and poor insulation caused the interior to heat up quickly, making it unbearable inside. The poor insulation also meant that the motorhome was noisy, as outside sounds such as wind or road noise easily penetrated the thin walls. This added to the discomfort of staying inside for extended periods. The compact size of the Ford Transit meant that the interior space of the motorhome conversion was limited. Many of these early conversions were cramped and lacked essential amenities, such as a full kitchen, bathroom, or proper sleeping arrangements. This made it less practical for longer trips or for families needing more space and comfort. Many transit conversions had very basic setups, with small kitchenettes, fold-out beds, and minimal storage. The lack of modern conveniences in the cramped layout made it difficult to enjoy longer stays or trips without feeling confined. The transit motorhome conversions were often prone to mechanical breakdowns, particularly with the engine and transmission, which were under strain from the added weight of the conversion. Frequent repairs and maintenance were necessary to keep the vehicle running, leading to frustration for owners. As the converted transit vans aged, finding parts for repairs became more challenging. This was especially true for the specific camper components, which were often custom-made or installed by independent converters. This made repairs more costly and time-consuming. The 1965 Ford Transit motorhome conversion had several significant drawbacks that made it less desirable for extended road trips or comfortable camping. Its underpowered engine struggled to handle the additional weight of the camper conversion, while the boxy design made driving difficult in windy conditions. The lack of proper ventilation and insulation created uncomfortable living conditions, and the limited interior space and amenities reduced its practicality. Additionally, frequent mechanical issues and the difficulty of finding parts made ownership a challenging experience. Number 5. The Roadtrek 190 of the 1990s was a compact Class B motorhome built on van chassis, typically the Dodge Ram or Chevrolet Express. While it was a popular choice for those seeking a smaller, more maneuverable RV, the Roadtrek 190 had several downsides that made it less appealing to some buyers. The Roadtrek 190 was often equipped with smaller, less powerful engines that struggled to handle the additional weight of the motorhome conversion. This resulted in sluggish acceleration and poor performance, especially when driving uphill or when fully loaded with passengers and gear. The engine's lack of power became apparent on long trips, particularly on highways or in mountainous regions. Due to its underpowered engine, the Roadtrek 190 was not fuel efficient, despite its smaller size. The engine worked harder to propel the heavier van, leading to higher fuel consumption than one might expect for a vehicle of its size. The compact design of the Roadtrek 190, while beneficial for maneuverability, came at the cost of interior space. The living area was tight, with minimal headroom and narrow walkways, making it uncomfortable for extended stays or for more than 2 people. Sleeping arrangements were cramped, and the fold-out bed or convertible seating often didn't provide adequate comfort for a good night's sleep. The small size also meant that storage was at a premium. There was little room for long-term travel gear, and the available cupboards and compartments were often too small for larger items. This made packing for longer trips difficult and required careful organization to maximize the limited space. The Roadtrek 190 offered basic amenities, but they were often cramped and minimal. The kitchen area was small, with limited counter space and a small refrigerator, making it difficult to prepare meals comfortably. The bathroom facilities, typically a wet bath or portable toilet, were also undersized and inconvenient for daily use. Due to its compact design, the Roadtrek 190 was better suited for weekend trips or short vacations rather than long-term living. The lack of comfort and space made it difficult for extended trips, particularly for families or travelers needing more room to move around. Owners of the Roadtrek 190 often reported frequent mechanical issues, particularly with the engine, transmission, and electrical systems. The van's chassis, while sturdy, wasn't always able to handle the additional weight and stress of the RV conversion, leading to frequent repairs and maintenance. The Dodge and Chevrolet chassis used for the Roadtrek 190 were not always durable enough for the demands of a motorhome, leading to wear and tear issues. Suspension problems and transmission failures were common complaints, especially after extended use or when driven in rugged conditions. Despite its smaller size compared to larger RVs, the Roadtrek 190 could be difficult to handle. The weight distribution of the conversion often led to poor handling, especially in windy conditions or on uneven roads. The ride was often bumpy, and the vehicle could feel unstable, particularly at higher speeds. While it was smaller than a traditional Class A motorhome, the Roadtrek 190 was still difficult to park in tight spaces due to its length and limited visibility. Maneuvering in urban environments or tight campgrounds was often a challenge, making it less convenient than it appeared on the surface. By the 1990s, the interior design and layout of the Roadtrek 190 were starting to feel outdated. The materials used in the construction of the cabinets, seating, and finishes were often cheap and prone to wear. Many units showed signs of aging quickly, with peeling laminate, sagging cushions, and worn-out carpeting. Owners often reported problems with leaks, particularly around windows and roof seals. Over time, these leaks could lead to water damage, mold, and rot, further diminishing the already limited comfort of the vehicle. The Roadtrek 190 of the 1990s, while popular for its compact size and maneuverability, was underpowered, cramped, and suffered from frequent mechanical issues. Its limited interior space and basic amenities made it uncomfortable for long-term travel, and its handling was often poor due to weight distribution and chassis limitations. With outdated design elements and build quality issues, the Roadtrek 190 struggled to compete with more robust and spacious motorhomes of its era. Number 4. The Gulfstream Sun Voyager, particularly from the late 1980s to early 1990s, had several issues that led to its reputation as a problematic RV. The Sun Voyager was notorious for its electrical problems. Owners reported frequent failures with the RV's wiring and electrical systems, including issues with the power supply, lighting, and appliances. These problems often led to frustrating and costly repairs. The electrical systems were often poorly designed or used subpar components, which contributed to the high rate of electrical failures. Issues with circuit breakers, wiring harnesses, and fuses were common, impacting the overall reliability of the RV. The Sun Voyager had inadequate insulation, which led to poor temperature control inside the RV. It struggled to maintain a comfortable temperature in both hot and cold weather, making it uncomfortable for occupants during extreme temperatures. The lack of proper insulation also contributed to condensation problems and leaks. Moisture could accumulate inside the walls and ceiling, leading to potential mold issues and further deterioration of the RV's interior. The Sun Voyager was equipped with engines that were often underpowered for the size and weight of the motorhome. This resulted in sluggish acceleration and poor performance, especially when fully loaded or driving in mountainous terrain. The engines used in the Sun Voyager were prone to mechanical problems, including issues with the transmission, overheating, and general wear and tear. This contributed to frequent breakdowns and maintenance challenges. The build quality of the Sun Voyager was generally considered subpar. Many units exhibited problems with the structural integrity, including issues with the frame and chassis. This affected the overall durability and longevity of the RV. The interior of the Sun Voyager often featured cheap materials and poor craftsmanship. Cabinetry, upholstery, and flooring frequently showed signs of wear and deterioration, even with relatively light use. The Sun Voyager's interior layout, while functional, often felt cramped and uncomfortable. The design did not always maximize space efficiently, leading to limited living and storage areas. By the time the Sun Voyager was released, many of its features and amenities were considered outdated compared to newer RV models. This included basic appliances, furnishings, and overall design, which did not appeal to modern RV buyers. Due to its various issues, maintaining the Sun Voyager could be costly. Frequent repairs and replacements, particularly related to the electrical system and engine, added to the overall cost of ownership. As Gulfstream transitioned to newer models and technology, finding replacement parts and service for older Sun Voyagers became increasingly difficult, further complicating maintenance and repair efforts. The Gulfstream Sun Voyager faced multiple challenges, including constant electrical problems, poor insulation, and a weak engine. These issues led to a reputation for being uncomfortable and unreliable for long-distance travel. The RV's subpar build quality and outdated features compounded these problems, making it a less favorable choice for those seeking a dependable and comfortable motorhome. Number 3, the Holiday Rambler. Alumalite, particularly from the 1980s, was plagued by several issues that contributed to its reputation for being a problematic RV. The Alumalite's frame was often criticized for being flimsy and poorly constructed. This weakness led to structural issues, affecting the overall durability and stability of the RV. The frame's lack of robustness could result in alignment problems and stress on various components. The build quality was generally subpar, with many units experiencing issues with their walls and roof. This often translated into problems with the RV's structural integrity and safety. Owners frequently reported engine problems with the Alumalite. These issues included poor performance and reliability, leading to frequent breakdowns and the need for ongoing repairs and maintenance. The engine was often considered underpowered for the size and weight of the RV. This resulted in sluggish acceleration and poor overall performance, particularly when the RV was fully loaded. One of the most common complaints was the tendency of the Alumalite to develop leaks. These leaks could cause water damage inside the RV, leading to issues like mold and mildew. This problem was often attributed to insufficient sealing and weatherproofing. Problems with the seals and weatherproofing materials used in the Alumalite led to frequent water ingress, further exacerbating maintenance issues and increasing repair costs. The Alumalite was known for having inadequate insulation, which made it difficult to maintain a comfortable temperature inside. This issue was particularly problematic in extreme weather conditions, both hot and cold. Inadequate insulation also contributed to condensation issues, leading to moisture buildup inside the RV. This moisture could cause damage to the interior and contribute to an uncomfortable living environment. Due to its construction flaws and engine problems, maintaining the Alumalite was often challenging and costly. Owners frequently faced repair issues and the need for regular maintenance, which added to the overall expense of owning and operating the RV. The combination of flimsy construction, frequent engine issues, leaks, and poor insulation led to widespread dissatisfaction among owners. These problems often resulted in a less enjoyable and reliable travel experience. The Holiday Rambler Alumalite was known for its flimsy construction, frequent engine problems, and issues with leaks and insulation. These factors made it a less reliable and comfortable RV, leading to significant owner complaints and challenges with maintenance and overall performance. Number 2, the Damon Intruder, particularly from the 1990s, is known for several shortcomings that led to its reputation as a problematic RV. The Intruder was plagued by frequent transmission problems, which could lead to costly repairs and unreliable performance. Owners often reported issues with slipping gears, hard shifting, and complete transmission failures. The transmission issues often required significant maintenance and repair efforts, adding to the overall cost and inconvenience of owning the RV. The Intruder had a reputation for frequent electrical issues, including problems with wiring, fuses, and electrical components. These issues could lead to malfunctions in critical systems such as lighting, climate control, and entertainment systems. Electrical problems in the Intruder often required specialized knowledge and could be challenging to diagnose and repair, adding to the frustration for owners. Many of the interior components in the Intruder were prone to breaking or malfunctioning. This included issues with cabinetry, upholstery, and other fixtures, leading to a less durable and comfortable living space. The build quality of the interior materials was often criticized for being subpar, which contributed to the frequent need for repairs and replacements. The Intruder's suspension system was often noted for its lack of effectiveness in providing a smooth ride. This made long-distance driving uncomfortable and could contribute to vehicle fatigue and driver discomfort. The poor suspension and overall design led to a less enjoyable driving experience, with many owners finding it difficult to handle the RV on long trips. Due to its transmission and electrical issues, as well as problems with interior components, the Intruder required frequent repairs and maintenance. This made it less reliable and increased the cost of ownership. The combination of poor suspension and unreliable interior components contributed to an uncomfortable living and driving experience, making the Intruder less appealing compared to other RV options. The Damon Intruder was known for its frequent transmission and electrical issues, along with problems with interior components and poor suspension. These factors made it a less reliable and comfortable RV, leading to significant owner dissatisfaction and repair challenges. Number 1. The Winnebago ASA Sunflyer, particularly from the 1990s, is often criticized for several key issues that affected its reputation and reliability. Here's a detailed overview of why the Sunflyer was considered problematic. The Sunflyer was equipped with engines that many found underwhelming for the size and weight of the RV. This led to sluggish acceleration and poor performance on the road. The engines were prone to issues requiring frequent repairs, impacting overall reliability and adding to the cost of ownership. The interior of the Sunflyer was constructed with lower quality materials, which led to a less durable and less comfortable living space. Many owners noted issues with the craftsmanship, including poorly fitting cabinets, flimsy furniture, and general wear and tear occurring more quickly than expected. The Sunflyer experienced constant problems with leaks, particularly around windows, doors, and roof seams. This led to water damage and mold issues if not promptly addressed. The leaks often resulted in structural concerns, including weakened walls and floors, which affected the overall integrity of the RV. The electrical system in the Sunflyer was prone to failures, impacting everything from lighting and climate control to essential systems like the refrigerator and entertainment systems. Diagnosing and repairing electrical problems was challenging, often requiring specialized knowledge and leading to additional maintenance costs. The Winnebago ASA Sunflyer was hindered by poor engine performance, a cheaply made interior, and frequent issues with leaks in electrical systems. These factors combined to create a less reliable and less comfortable RV experience, leading to dissatisfaction among many owners. The Sunflyer's issues with performance and build quality made it less competitive in the RV market of its time.